Hi everyone. Noteflight is a powerful notation software that you can use on a Chromebook. A lot of people are going to be using it to write, transcribe music. So I'm going to show you a little tutorial today about how to use keyboard shortcuts to input notes and edit notes and adjust things in Noteflight really quickly and smoothly. So let's get started. We're going to begin with a blank document. When we begin with Noteflight, we're going to head to the upper left-hand corner to create, and that's going to give us a new blank document. We can choose from some presets. I'm going to begin with piano because these keyboard shortcuts are going to work with all of these. We've got our 4 blank measures. If you want to get rid of the keyboard at the bottom, we're not going to need it. So I'm going to go up to the upper right-hand side here and click keyboard. And I'm going to want to start in the beginning. So I'm going to put my mouse cursor at the beginning of the first measure. I'm using the trackpad here because I'm going to do this in a way that you don't need a mouse. It's not convenient to have a mouse, or if you don't have one. So to begin, we're going to just type in our pitches. If we want an A, we're going to press the letter A. If we want B, we press B, and so on. Now, Noteflight senses kind of intuitively which register it's going to put your letter in. So I started at the middle A in face, and I'm going to end here at the higher A because that's what happened as I went up the scale. So we've got those notes in there now. Maybe one of them's wrong. What I can do is use my arrow keys to scroll back and adjust some things. And that's the melody that I really want now. So that's just using up and down to make the notes go up and down, and left and right to scroll through what I've worked on. Now, it's going to adjust, it's going to default to the key signature. I'm in the key right now of C major, really A minor, and so there's not going to be any sharps and flats, but let's say that I want that leading tone. I'm going to do Shift and then press up, and that's going to give me that leading tone that I want. If I do Shift down, it'll give me a flat, and then I can go through the whole scale chromatically, holding Shift, playing up and down. If I want to change the register, let's say there's a really large jump, like I'm on this A, and I want another A, it's going to default to the one that was in the same register. What I'm going to do now to change the octave is press Control and then down. I can do it again. And that's just going to get you those A's. And what you can do then is get around the staff very quickly, typing in the letter you want and then doing your adjustments with up, down, or shift up, shift down, or control up, control down. Let's talk now about durations. So you saw that it started with quarter notes, and I think that's one of the things that people have trouble with Noteflight, is that they're going back and they're trying to scroll up to the durations in their bar up here, and we don't have to do that. If you're on a quarter note and you want the next longest duration, you're going to come over here to the right bracket and left bracket area and press the one you want. So if you want it to be the next longest duration, click the right bracket. That's going to make that a half note. If you want it to be a whole note, you can click it again. And then the opposite is true. If you want it to be an eighth note, click the left bracket. And what that's going to do is just take it to the next smallest duration, and you can get very small with that. And so using that, you can get to that very quickly. Now, the next thing you need to know is the next duration that you click. Like if I want another A here, it's going to make it a half note again. So it kind of defaults to what you just did. If I want to go back to this half note then and make it a dotted half note, that is the period here. Pretty intuitive, right? Just a dot. Put that dot on there. And it automatically adjusts the rests for you too. That's kind of nice about Noteflight, is it doesn't let you have the wrong number of beats per measure. So that's a way to check your work, I suppose. Now, if you want to make a rest, what you can do is make your duration of the rest as a note. Like right now I have a half note A, and when I click backspace, it makes it a rest. If I want that to appear as 2 quarter note rests instead, I can just take that rest that I had and make it the next smallest duration with the left bracket. Or if I want to fill that measure up again, I can just make it that whole note. That is something that kind of bugs me about Noteflight, is it takes that whole note, puts it right there. So what you can do is just, you can select the whole measure and click backspace, and it's just going to make that a whole rest in that measure. Finally, what we've got is patterns, and this is where a lot of music has patterns. You can go pretty quickly by creating your pattern. Let's say that this pattern is going to repeat 4 times. I'm going to highlight the whole thing, and all I did there was just like you were highlighting text. I click the first one, I click shift, I go over to the last one. I can also do that with arrow keys. Highlight everything I want, and then I'm going to press R. I think R is one of those things that if you get used to using it, it's going to help you out a lot. So check it out. It just does it again. Now I'm out of measures, but let's say it does it 4 times. I can just press R again and again, and it'll do it as many times. It adds those measures. Now, a lot of patterns, they happen in a certain key area, and then it keeps the same contour and goes from there. So let's say that I'm doing this, and it's like an A minor figure, and then it does it in a sort of D Dorian figure there. I can just use my arrows, and I can move it up and down one at a time, and that'll get me in the right area. If a few notes are changed, like let's say that it really is like a D minor thing, I can just go to the one note that changes and use my keyboard shortcuts to make that happen. So with that R key, you can put in your pattern and then adjust it a pattern at a time. And I think that that's going to make things go really quickly, especially if you've got a rhythmic pattern that took you kind of a long time and it changes notes. You don't have to type it in the whole time. The other thing you can do, I suppose, is the old copy paste. And we're going to do that Control C, and then I'm going to start at the beginning. I'm just going to Control V it, and I'm going to get that same thing as repeat, Control C, Control V. The last little bit here that I'm going to show you is up in format. So we're going up to the upper right where we found that keyboard button. I'm going to click formatting. And I'm on sizing. You might start on general, but you go to sizing. And this is the most useful one that I have found, and it is note size. It starts around 6 pixels, and I like it about 4.2, because that allows me to see a lot more, especially if I have more than one staff going on. So I just made that a little bit smaller so that we can see it. It's not multiple pages. If I'm going to print, I'm not going to have to be turning pages in the program. So that is your Noteflight keyboard shortcut tutorial. I would love to answer your questions. If you've got them, you can leave them in the comments. And as always, smash that like button and subscribe. Thanks a lot. If you've got tips, you can leave them in the comments as well.